Welcome to the post-game press conference for Game 13 of the 2026 Southeastern Conference Softball Tournament. We're joined by Georgia head coach Tony Baldwin and designated player Tyler Ellison. There's a mic holder to your right. Please raise your hand if you have a question, but we will begin with a statement from Coach.
Yeah, I just want to thank the University of Kentucky, Jeremy Hammond and the SEC office, and all the people associated with putting together this event. Having done it last year, I know that there's a lot of people involved and making this happen and make it go as smoothly as it does with all of the different factors that play in. And this week has been exceptional in terms of the host and all of they've provided. So hats off to a job well done to all of those people. Congrats to Texas. They really fought and, they took what was a pretty good punch and the comeback from us. And, I would say from that standpoint, stings a little bit on our side. It's, back-to-back games with those guys that have come right down to the end. While the outcome is disappointing for our group, at the end of the day, I could not be more proud of our players, our program. I'm incredibly blessed to represent this university and all of the people that, it represents. And just really proud of the way that we put together the game. Tonight, I think probably when you look at it in the big picture, was decided by the defense. Some by the plays that we didn't make, and certainly some by the plays that they made. I thought Nichols was outstanding at third base. Maloney made a pretty incredible throw there to knock us down at the plate. But again, I thought Randy gave us a great start. I thought Presley was competing her tail off, and I thought we had some big at-bats and really proud of the answer back there in whatever that inning that was, the fourth inning maybe. So we'll lick our wounds from this one. We'll get back home and be anxious for Sunday night and the selection show, and then be ready to get back after it, whatever that provides for us next weekend.
All right. We'll open up the floor for questions. Please direct them to either Coach Baldwin or Tyler. Start in the back.
Coach, it seems like you guys just get behind and then just turn it on. What's going on there? And
it's not the strategy, I can assure you that. But I think the thing that we've talked about is just continuing to play Georgia softball and not play against the scoreboard, but play against the standard of how we compete and how we fight and how we try and win at-bats and win moments and win innings. And that's what makes the game incredibly fun. If you get caught up in the outcomes, then the game can get heavy. What I love about our team is that they just fight like heck for the moments that are in front of them. And it has worked out where, we've been able to take a punch and answer back. And I think that's a tribute to our character and to the people that we have involved in the program, and certainly proud of that.
Hey, could you just talk a little bit about the decision to go for it on the play at the plate? I know obviously didn't end the way you wanted, but you did make an incredible throw.
Yeah. There's a couple different decisions in there that I would have, preferred to go differently. One of the things that I learned in all my time with Coach Lou there is that the fifth inning below, really you're talking about the fourth and fifth inning is kind of the time frame there where when you have somebody like that needs maybe a runner. If it's the fourth or fifth inning, we would wait until they got to second base, because the chances them scoring on a base hit versus scoring from first is more likely. So the first decision was with one out, we were going to wait until she got I was the one making the decision. We're going to wait till she got to second base. So that was the first thing. Then, as I was watching the play unfold, the ball caromed back behind Henry, and Marissa was well past second base, really on the way, more than, I would say, halfway to third. And Maloney was still a fairly significant ways away from the ball. So with one out there and against somebody like Kavan, you don't know that you're going to get that many more opportunities. So I thought it was a time to, let her rip and go for it. And it ended up being the perfect storm. Riss kind of ran out of gas and was laboring to the finish there. And she picked it up and made a perfect throw. Any of the scenarios could have gone a little bit different. At night, the ball was a little bit wet. That throw could be up the line more, and we steal a run. At that point, it was a 3-1 ball game, and it didn't look like there was going to be 6 more hits maybe that come after that. In hindsight, you're like, yeah, I wish I would have waited. But, that's the man of the arena kind of thing, and, it's a decision that it didn't go our way.
Second row.
Jeff Brown, D1 softball, and Tyler, I'd like your player perspective and then coach perspective, why it's still raw and disappointing right now. The run you made this week, the show you guys put on, the level of teams you beat and went down to the wire with. How quick can you flush this and then really enjoy the run you made and say, now we're going home, we feel like we're pretty good to be a host team next week? How do you continue playing at this high level? How do you get this past and go on and say, look, we had great week here. How do we continue that?
Well, I feel like although this loss does kind of sting, from a big picture perspective, I feel like I'm proud of us and just how we competed this week. And I think that we proved to ourselves that we can compete and we can go win ball games and we can hang with anybody out there. And so I feel like our team is just going to hold on to that part of this week and just use it as momentum for all the games we have going forward and just never having any doubt in ourselves because we can really hang with anyone and beat anybody out there.
Yeah. First off, I don't know that you can have a better representative of the University of Georgia than Tyler Ellison and what she represents and what she's about and how she represents our program. So, I'm really proud of her and the week that she put together along with our team. It stings mainly because there were things that happened in the course of the game that we could have controlled a little bit better. So you can't help but think, maybe we could. But at the same time, you got to hand it to Texas. The other part of it is that's 4 straight games now that have gone to the end. We gave up, if I'm not mistaken, I think we gave up a 4-run lead in game 1 and lost a last inning game when we played them. We beat them. We lost an extra inning game, and then today, we give up a 1-run lead and with 1 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th to fall. So you're like right there with them. As far as flushing it, that's what we do. We are really big on gratitude in our program, and at the end of the day, we'll be grateful that we get another opportunity to play softball and do something that we have a passion for. I say to our players all the time, how lucky are we that we get to do something that we love so much that drives us to this kind of emotion swings, that you can feel the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. The average person never gets to experience that in their lifetime. So we'll be excited to take the field the next time that we do it. We'll be excited to be together and watch the selection show on Sunday, and we'll be thankful for all the moments that we get. My argument for our team and hosting is I believe now that's 15 straight games against top 10 teams. Maybe not 12, right? So our last 9 regular season games, 10, LSU I think was a 10 RPI maybe when we played them game 1. Oklahoma, a lot of people, they're ranked number 1 in the polls, and then, certainly, Texas is a top 5 team. So I would challenge anybody to go out and play that stretch of games and come out in the shape that we are. I think that's a tribute to the players and the coaches and the people that we have in this program. And so we feel confident that we'll go compete at the next opportunity that we get, and we'll do it as many opportunities as we get a chance to do it.
Anything else for Georgia? Last one in the front.
Yeah, hi, Tyler Strimple, Texas Student Television. First off, want to say congrats on a great SEC tournament run. I first have a question for Coach and then a question for Tyler. going kind of in, the first 4 innings kind of stagnant on the offense, and then that big comeback, that 4-run inning against Cavan and a little bit of Gutierrez. What kind of enabled y'all to make that comeback? And then subsequently, once Gutierrez found her groove, what do you think kind of limited the offense there?
I thought we had good pitch selection, and we were having good at-bats against Tegan early on. But she was just winning the margins. Like, she was keeping her ball, in tough places to hit, and we were just off on it. And then, I think if we go back and watch, after they had the big momentum inning, if I had to guess, not taking away anything from our players, she probably got a few more pitches on the plate for us, and we capitalized on it. So it was a little bit of just that second time through the order. We've been pretty good all season of taking in as much data as we needed that first round of at-bats, and then we've been pretty strong the second time through the order, and so I think that had a play. I think probably just a little bit of, difference in the quality of the pitch that she was making, that we were able to capitalize on it.
Tyler, just kind of also want your perspective on what the mentality was going into that that 5th inning comeback. And also kind of what you and the rest of the locker room are proud of. What are y'all going to take into tournament play?
Well, I feel like going into that big inning, I think, at least for me, I was the first person up that inning. I was just trying to get a good pitch to hit and just get something started for my team. And I'm happy that I was able to do that. And I think we do a good job, especially second time through the lineup, of just like making adjustments and fighting the fight and just sticking with our plan. And so I honestly think that we just keep focusing on that and honing in on that. And I think that'll take us far into the season. I like the way that we're competing. I like the way that we're having at-bats at the plate. And so I wouldn't change anything. I like our fight. And I think if we just carry that into the rest of the season, I think we're going to go a long way.
All right, we'll wrap it up there.
Thank y'all.
Thank you all. Good luck next week.